They say we should have known better than to fall so deep down into this rabbit hole we found. And I was thinking...
Hi, this is Nikolai, and you're listening to my dad, Rafal, co-host James Jardian, and featuring Mr. Jim Tiller on the one and only DtSecurity Rabbit Hole podcast. Plug in, listen up, and enjoy.
Deep into this pool of regrettable situations. Pitch black, think back to the last time that we were happy.
All right. Hello, and welcome to the DtSecurity Rabbit Hole podcast. Live-ish. By the time you're looking at this, not live anymore, but we are here live. See, look, Rob's here.
I exist.
He exists.
Can confirm.
Can confirm. Zero Trust World here in Orlando. Last time you guys joined us virtually, we were here about a year ago. Rob, the last time you were on the podcast, we jokingly started a conversation about Windows XP that went almost an hour. I'm concerned if I make another old computer joke, we'll keep going.
Yeah, no, let's not go there. Let's not do that.
So, all right, we're beautiful Orlando again. Zero Trust World. For those that are brand new to the thing, what is Zero Trust World?
Zero Trust World is ThreatLocker's annual conference. It happens around this time of the year, which is obviously the best time of the year to come to Florida.
The best.
It is
the only.
Debatable. Some might say.
Some might say.
As a actual Orlandian now, or Orlandonian.
Local.
Yes. One who lives here now, I have to say it's awesome all year round. But it's definitely the best time of the year to come to Florida and Orlando. But yeah, it's our own event. We've run it every year for the last 6 years, I believe. I've been here for, I think, the last 5. It's been doubling in size pretty much every year. It is enormous. I arrived here last night after being somewhere else yesterday and was like, wow. It's huge.
Well, it's gotten bigger from last year because last year, you guys, it was a smaller hotel. It was very cool, boutique-y. But I look around the place where we're at, which is where lunch and such is served. This is immense. How many people do you guys have? Do you know?
Closing in on 2,000.
That's a significant size. Vendors don't generally... I mean, I can name a couple that can get that size, but they're generally orders of magnitude bigger in terms of... company.
Obviously not order of magnitude better, but...
I didn't say better. I said bigger.
Yes.
Larger.
There might be a few.
There might be a few. Okay, so you've got a partner ecosystem going around here. You've got a lot of very interesting people. You guys will get to meet some of them on Phil Wiley, for example. We'll go talk to you. I'm going to try to track down a couple other some of the keynotes. I hesitate to ask because I'm sure the answer is a lot, but what's new that since we last talked? What have you done? What have you done with yourself, Rob?
I've been here, I've been there, I've been everywhere. I've been preaching the gospel of zero trust to anybody who cares to listen. So we've done lots. The product has come on in leaps and bounds. The platform has grown. I mean, in the last 6 months, we brought out our Defense Against Configurations product, which is really cool. People absolutely love it. This time last year, we brought out our web control product. We brought out our patch management. As I said, the platform is ever growing. We may have something awesome to announce come Thursday. I hope we do. But
I'll be there.
We may not, depending on how things go. But hopefully we'll have something else cool to talk about on Thursday.
You say so. Platform is you guys started with a product. Now it's a platform. You keep kind of adding to it. It reminds me of some other companies that started with a product and then kept building around it. Mm-hmm. It ultimately started as a whitelist for endpoint.
At the very beginning,
At the very, 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 very beginning. What do you like? What is it? What do you do now? Because zero trust means a lot of things to a lot of people, and ultimately, sometimes it means nothing. When you guys talk about zero trust, obviously from a product perspective,
it's a journey, not a destination. Yeah. Do you like that?
And he walks off stage. All right.
So I mean, we started with controls. Controls is what everything else is built on.
Yeah.
So we start with allow listing. Obviously, what can run and what can't run. Really important. Stops things from like ransomware from running. But then we realized that there are more applications to this. So default deny doesn't just stop at what can run and what can't run. Default deny also includes what things can do. So can PowerShell reach out to the entire internet? Can Claude Code call a million different processes, etc., and so on? So we expanded it from just allow listing to allow listing and ring fencing, which is nobody else had really done.
Yeah.
Other people do allow listing, but they don't care about what things do when they're running. So it's just a logical extension of default deny, permit by exception to, as I said, not only what things can run, but what things can do when they're running. But we then expanded that to, I think, 4 years ago at Zero Trust World, we introduced network control.
Yep.
So same principle, but for network traffic. So again, just because something can access something else in the network doesn't mean it should be able to.
Yeah.
So then network control was born. We then, and Danny actually described this brilliantly. So we described our director of Detect, which is our EDR, as a motion sensor in a bank vault, which I thought was a really good way of describing it, because obviously we provide lots of controls, but equally you want to know if something bad is happening or trying to happen.
Sure.
So that's when we introduced our EDR, which, as I said, I think was 3 years ago. In between, we will drop occasional things in and new features and so on. But 2 years ago, we don't even think about it. 2 years ago, we introduced our MDR. And then, as I said, last year, we had patch management, we had web control. So it's been growing over the last 5 years. And it tends to grow most of all at Zero Trust World, which is when Danny likes to stand on stage and show people the new and shiny things.
Yeah, well, you said the magical thing, which is, you said Claude, which is AI. This is now all anybody can talk about in cyber, whether it's protecting ourselves and our AI and our data, or protecting ourselves from the AI. What's your story? What's your thoughts on that? What's your story on that? Because is there in your mind the way you guys think about protection and defense? There could be something to be said for, like, AI will come up with novel ways to do bad things. If you do
either by design or accidentally.
Yeah, well, yes. If you're kind of doing that default deny, allow by exception, are you finding a lot of people calling you up and saying, "Hey, my AI widget isn't working. Help me with that"?
Kind of. It's more that in the last even few weeks, there has been a shift. And the shift at the beginning was, so default deny takes care of agentic AI because it just doesn't let them run. Can't run, you've got nothing to worry about. The problem is, or where the problem comes in, is that people are now saying, well, we actually want them to run, but we want them to run safely.
Okay.
And that's where it starts getting interesting, and that's where the challenges start to arise. I've had multiple conversations with lots of customers over the last number of weeks specifically going, I've got a customer, or we want to use this, or our devs want to use this. And I mean, realistically, right now it might be techies, it might be devs, but in 3 months' time, 6 months' time, everybody's probably going to want to run something like an agentic AI on their computer. And obviously it's in our interest and behooves us to help people do it safely and securely. Now, in very simple terms, the short answer to the question is ring fencing, which is you ring fence these things, you ring fence all the things that these things cause or call. They can't step out of their lane. They can't access your data. They can't go out to random places on the internet unless you allow them to.
So the proverbial notepad opening up in an Explorer.
Oh, yeah. That can't happen. But I mean, it can happen if you just run these things on your machine, because realistically, they will go out and download something they need. They will get Git, they will get Node, they will get whatever it feels it needs to do the tasks it's been asked to do. It will go and get it. It will run it. And again, that presents challenges and everything else. So, as I said, if you can have, we can do one policy. We can just ring fence Claude and all of the tools Claude calls with sensible restrictions. So, okay, you need to run, but you don't need access to my finance share over there, or any of my network drives, or my data, except this. And it comes back to the idea of deny by default, permit by exception, but it's just applying controls to these tools rather than trying to detect their misuse.
How do you The same question I probably asked you a dozen times when we talk about this is, how do you create policies like that at scale, knowing that thousands of agentic agents will want to do thousands of millions of combinations of things? Like, how do you even realistically ring fence that?
Typically,
a tiny,
for the most
team?
part, or certainly what we've seen so far, and we've got people looking into it historically and today and going forward, but for the most part, they tend to use relatively basic tools in what they do. So it's PowerShell, it's Node, it's Git, they've got all MCP servers to connect to various things, but it tends to be, even though it looks crazy. I mean, I had a really good customer send me a screenshot of a process monitor for him running Claude in his machine, and funny story, I had to show it to people. And he'd sent me a screenshot and it had his username everywhere. So I had to redact his username. And it looked like a really bad Epstein Files thing because it was literally just black lines everywhere. I'd be like the DOJ because I'd be redacting.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, so I have this screenshot, which is basically Claude, PowerShell, Git, Node, Bash, again, but a limited number of things that it's running. Now, it could theoretically run other things, but for the most part, the behavior of that tool, at least, is relatively consistent. And again, what we're talking about is just setting guardrails around that and saying, look, you can do these things, but you can't do those things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It is a challenge.
It's probably challenging, but that's why you have an organization that does it. I suspect there's probably some, wait for it, use of AI to identify how AI is going to function on these endpoints.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I may have tried myself asking Claude, what are all the different things that you would run? And it gave me a load of rubbish that bore no resemblance to what we actually saw it doing. So that was a pretty short conversation.
Rob, in an industry in a market that's very crowded, because the endpoint space is super crowded, dominated by 2 or 3 key players that operate completely opposite of you guys. Mm-hmm. Allow everything and just detect badness.
Trust but verify. Would pretty
sometimes
much,
not even that, right?
Well, yeah.
Trust but detect, maybe, or don't trust but detect. But the issue is, let's just figure out what bad looks like. Let's identify it and trap it and stop it. But let work kind of happen as it happens. You've got the opposite lens on that. And there has been a lot of like, this will never work, it'll never scale. And here we sit, growing company, growing conference, more people than we've had last year, more partners than you had last year. The platform has grown.
We've proved it's possible.
Right.
I mean,
that's what I was going to go with. Is like, how did you do it?
Yeah.
How did you do it?
There's a couple of parts to it. I mean, first of all, what has also been proven is that traditional approaches continue to be proven not to work, or at least not to work all the time.
Yeah.
They might work 99.9% of the time, but it's the 0.01% of the time that they get a decision wrong or don't recognize something as bad. That will kill you. So that is why organizations are still getting breached today. That is why massive organizations who you would think have the best in class, or what they consider the best in class detection and response, are still getting wiped out. I mean, Jaguar Land Rover is probably the biggest, most expensive.
That one's expensive. And that one keeps growing.
Do you think they did not believe that they had best in class detection and response protecting them?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I mean, everybody thinks they've got the best until
they realize they don't.
Yeah.
But I suppose incidents like that are educational for all of us, because it shows that even ostensibly the best protected, lots of money, shouldn't have any issues with cybersecurity, organizations can still get breached, can still get impacted, can still get affected.
Yeah.
So, as I said, it's been proven time and time and time again not to work. Every time there's a breach, every time there's an incident, organizations realize, well, maybe there's something else we should be doing. We should be doing something different. And that's fundamentally where ThreatLocker comes in. So you mentioned it's a crowded market space. It is, but it's not in what we do. because we're pretty much alone in operating on that principle of deny by default and permit by exception. So we're effectively building a new market going in this direction, whereas they're all going we can still detect everything, we can still recognize everything bad. I mean, back to AI for a second. I mean, I saw a statistic the other day that something like 40% of new malware shows signs of either being created by or improved by AI.
And why not?
560,000 new pieces of malware discovered every single day. How do you keep up with that?
That number is staggering, right?
And growing year on year and accelerating now because of AI.
Good God, that's incredible. I mean, that kind of arms race is forget unwinnable. It's going to get to a point where it's difficult to quantify.
Yeah,
like it's
absolutely. I mean, again, how do you keep up with that?
So, I had a recent episode for those of you guys that watch the show or listen to the show with Patrick Dennis, my good friend, talking about this industry from a financial perspective, and a lot of organizations, vendors, built out tremendous cash burn machines, big furnaces where they just threw cash in. And what we're realizing is that the market is starting to become wise to hey, look, another product. You should totally buy this. This one will definitely help you. It's not replacing anything. Just keep adding on. In a market like that, where the consolidation is inevitable, the downturn, we'll call it. We discussed a bubble rapidly deflating. This different direction you guys are going in, are you seeing any signs of that? Because I haven't seen any. At least for you in your market.
Short answer is no. The problem remains, whether it be a good market or a bad market. Organizations do still need to protect themselves.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, it can get really expensive really quickly.
Yeah.
With the average breach being, I think the average ransom demand is $600,000. I actually had a really interesting conversation, and this is a by-the-by with a partner of ours who deals primarily in incident response. So they got called in and they use ThreatLocker as a active containment tool. And it wasn't a use of the platform. I mean, we were always more concerned with stopping breaches than helping remedy them or resolve them. But it's a really interesting use that they actually do use it to resolve breaches, because they deploy, they lock it down immediately, and they work backwards from there.
Yeah.
So what it means is, instead of you having to pull out everything, literally disconnect everything from the network, turn it off, what you do is you deploy ThreatLocker, lock it down, and nothing can run that shouldn't be allowed to run, and you can stop all lateral movement, and yada, yada, yada. Anyway, the interesting point about it was, he said in this particular case, this particular organization, they'd negotiated with the gang to get the ransom demand down for, I think it was $650,000 to about $350,000. And the insurance company had paid. Not only had they paid, they'd encouraged them to pay. Now, that was something that blew my mind. I'm like, why would an insurance company encourage somebody to pay a ransom? But it's actually a really simple calculation, which is business downtime costs X amount per day. If cost of decryption key from ransomware gang is less business downtime per day multiplied by minus number of days, pay it. Now, that just, it's incredibly straightforward. It's simple math.
Yeah.
It stands against everything I believe, and I think it's really morally questionable, because all they're guaranteeing is that another organization and another organization and another organization, they're propagating the problem.
But if the maths.
But if the maths from their perspective, it makes absolute and perfect sense. But I suppose that the reason I bring that up as an example is it shows that it is still worth it for the bad guys to do it, because in that one case, it's a relatively small company, like 60 or 70 users. You're talking about $350,000 in profit for what?
Yeah, fair enough.
For not very much. So anyway, that illustrates the problem is not going away. That, again, every example, every ransomware attack is another example as to why different approaches are needed. To your point about consolidation, absolutely, vendor consolidation is huge. I spoke to a customer of ours on Sunday night, and he said to me, 4 or 5 years ago, I had 15 different portals that I had to log in to manage cybersecurity. Now I have 2.
That makes sense.
One being ThreatLocker and one being, I can't remember what the other thing was. But basically, and that is one of the things that we have tried to make possible, which is one portal, one platform, one agent installed on people's machines, one tool that organizations need to train their staff how to use, and at the end of the day, one bill. So if you can do, and you can now do so much of what you need from a cybersecurity perspective within one platform, why would you have 4 or 5 or 6 different things and different bills and different products and different portals you need to log into?
Well, and to that point, if we talk about staffing these types of things, right? Traditionally, and I know this is changing rapidly. Let's continue that.
I hope it just stopped.
Just stopped.
Okay.
We're gonna
lose any of our.
I don't know why. Maybe I made hand gestures it didn't like.
What is the hand gesture to stop?
I don't know. I didn't see it. Stop it. All right. Now Rob's gonna keep.
Sorry. I can't help myself.
You're gonna make me edit this anyway. Look. We used to scale the number of people in this. More people you had in the company, the bigger the SOC was, the more people you needed, the more. And now you've got customers that are overbought heavily on the amount of technology they have. Mm-hmm. And Patrick said, CIO is looking at, hey, you got 17 tools that do something similar. Which 16 are leaving? And it's about
the other 16.
Yeah, it's about certainty. It's about cost. It's about what it takes to the TCO, which oddly enough in security is sort of a conversation that started really heavy and important, and then like over the last 15 years it's sort of like we sort of went, don't talk about TCO. That's for later. We don't want to talk about TCO.
I had a really interesting conversation with a customer recently, and they were telling me about, so picture a company, okay, 7 separate business units, parts of the one organization. Yep. These guys basically are rolling out ThreatLocker to each of the business units. So they have ThreatLocker and a very popular, very big EDR tool running in 3 of the 7 environments.
Okay.
In 4 of the 7 environments, they haven't got around to ThreatLocker yet. So they just have said very big and very popular EDR running. So 3 with ThreatLocker and tool, 4 just with tool. The environments where they've got ThreatLocker deployed and secured, they average in their tool between 0 and 1 alerts a day. Okay, because it's got nothing to do. There's nothing happening. It shouldn't be allowed to happen. There's nothing running. It shouldn't be allowed to run. In the environments where they don't have ThreatLocker yet,
I suspect it's a bigger number.
400 a day alerts being generated by this thing.
Wow.
Every one of which has to be investigated. This is why alert fatigue is a real thing. You have to, it's like the boy who cried wolf. It's going wolf, wolf, wolf everywhere, and you have to hope and pray that the important one, the one that is actually an active breach underway, is something that you will actually notice. Whereas if you take away all of that noise and get back to denying by default, you're not going to have 400 alerts that you have to triage and check out and make sure aren't actually happening. So it very much can pay for itself. You're applying, I suppose, automatic control, so you have to do less detection and less response.
Interesting. Well, Liz, that's a good place to be, where you've got no noise because nothing can do anything without your permission.
It's one of the really interesting. It's one of the 2 biggest reasons that we created our own EDR with Detect. One was that we have a ton of data. Because we've got everything that executes in the environment, everything that runs, all network traffic, reads, writes, copies, moves, all of that information. We already had that. So there's indicators of compromise in there, the potential indicators of compromise. So from that perspective, using that data to create an EDR made perfect sense. The other reason we created an EDR, we brought Detect out, was because so many customers said to us, we are running you alongside another tool. That other tool is now effectively useless because it's got nothing to do. So why are we paying X number of dollars a year for a tool that isn't actually doing anything? So that's why we said,
it's a legitimate question.
Why don't we make one that does effectively the same thing, that can also tie into all of the other parts of our platform, so you can use allow listing policies or network control policies or storage control policies in response to an indicator of compromise. So it just made perfect sense from that perspective to make the tool that we made.
All right. Well, in that case, I think it's a good place to end.
Excellent.
Before you figure out how to make my thing stop doing what it's doing.
Talk to the hand.
Don't do it.
No, it didn't stop.
It didn't
Why didn't
stop
it do it
this
that time?
No. Stop it. All right. Before we start having way too much fun with Rob, thanks, you guys. We'll do this again.
There has to be some sort of a hand gesture that makes it stop.
This is Bella. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to leave my dad a review and share this with your friends. Bye.